Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm asking the question, is Amazon's facial recognition system gonna get somebody killed, assuming it hasn't already done that? And let me explain what I mean by this. Now, we've known about their facial recognition system called Recognition. Just remove the C and replace it with a K. Very innovative guys. And it's been controversial pretty much since its inception. Now, it has a very high false positive rate, incorrectly identifying women and minorities with something like a 30 to 35% failure rate, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I also used this in my last TEDx talk without actually naming Amazon as the facial recognition system, but the ACLU used recognition system against all 535 members of the US Congress, and they put it against a criminal mugshot database of 10,000 mugshots that did not include any of Congress's faces, and it incorrectly identified 28 members of Congress as criminals, and feel free to insert your own joke right here. But here's the thing, that was from 2018, that ACLU study, and you would think that they would have improved it since then or have been working on improving that, but we literally have articles from yesterday that basically are telling us that recognition, once again, misidentified 1 in 5 California lawmakers as criminals when essentially that same test was run again. All the California lawmakers versus a criminal database, and ta-da, here we are, 1 in 5 California lawmakers are criminals. And again, feel free to insert your own joke right there. They clearly have not improved this technology, or if they have, it's not really noticeable with this. And here's the thing, they are selling the hell out of this to law enforcement and local governments, basically to help police identify criminals in, CCTV cameras and other stuff like this. And they've added a couple new features that I think are really going to ratchet this up, and I think can potentially do harm either to police or to potential suspects. Now, their facial recognition system also has the ability to identify emotions. And for a short while now, they've been able to identify the emotions of, and I've got my notes here, happy, sad, angry, surprised, disgusted, and confused. And the reason why we're talking about this is they just added a new emotion to this, and that would be fear. Now, let's think this one out for a second. Assuming you're a cop, just imagine you're a police officer and, Amazon's recognition system has identified a suspect on, let's say, closed circuit television, whatever it is, and it is also identifying the person, let's say, possibly incorrectly, and also possibly attributing an emotion to them that they may not necessarily be feeling. So let's say they've identified the person and they say, oh, this person is happy, and that is incorrect. Let's say by virtue of this, the police officer thinks, 1, they've got the proper suspect, and 2, that suspect is in an emotional state where it is going to be, let's say, more safe than not to potentially approach that suspect. And so let's say the officer has his guard down, and here we are. Let's say it's an accurate suspect, but the emotion is not happy. Let's say it's misidentified and this person is angry and decides to go ahead and, take a shot at the police officer. Conversely, let's assume for a moment you've got an innocent person that has been identified through the recognition system, and we know that it has a very high failure rate, and that is going to happen. And then this, let's say, identifies that person with fear or anger because it is reading their emotions. And if you are an innocent person being chased by the police, I have to imagine you're going to be kind of fear. And obviously the whole question is, should you run from the police? But that's not what we're talking about. Maybe now the police are looking at this person in a fearful state, even though that person is innocent. They've been incorrectly identified, and the cops are running under the assumption that this person is the suspect captured on television or whatever it is. And we have a serious, serious problem here, and this is only going to escalate. As we are looking in the future, we are looking to, let's say, the U.S. military as a perfect example of this. We have soldiers in combat. They're going to start wearing heads-up displays. Eventually, that's going to integrate cameras. It might be able to identify, let's say, potential, terrorists or combatants, give them a potential state. Same with the police, where they might start wearing wearable tech as they're just walking down the street. And the next thing you know, their facial recognition system, as they're passing people in an urban area, identifies, a potential suspect, and then let's say it's a false identification, and then is putting an emotional state on that person, that is going to allow the police to, let's say, react fast to proactively, let's say, catch somebody with a warrant or somebody that's wanted on suspicion. But if it's a false identification, you're opening up a huge can of worms to get an innocent person, whether it's the police officer or the misidentified suspect, harmed or killed by virtue of this. And so a lot of cities, I shouldn't say a lot, but we have heard that some cities are refusing facial recognition systems within their city limits. Let's say in and around San Francisco and Silicon Valley, for example. But not a lot of towns are that tech savvy. Not a lot of urban areas are, drinking that kind of Kool-Aid, if you will, and they're buying this recognition system that I think is probably going to get somebody very seriously harmed or killed. And I don't think it's going to stop there. This is going to continue. So what do we do with this? How do we police this? Should we even be using a facial recognition system until we're able to correct and get that false positive rate up from something like 35% false positive down to maybe less than 1%? I mean, that is something that we really have to talk about and discuss. But facial recognition is here to stay, and Amazon is doing this. And you can even go even further. They can now pair it with the Ring doorbell, which I literally did a video on less than a week ago, that is letting law enforcement go right in there. And so now, once again, somebody coming up to your door could be false identified, both as an individual and also in an emotional state that could put that person's life or the police officer's life in jeopardy. I think this is a real recipe for disaster. And while I think there's a lot of potential here, I don't think it's ready for prime time, and that has not stopped Amazon from selling it to absolutely anybody with money that is willing to basically buy this thing. So take that for what it's worth. That is my 2 cents of the day, but I think it's a very serious and concerning problem that we have here, and hopefully we'll be able to address it and fix it before it gets out of hand. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please subscribe here at YouTube if you so inclined, and I'm always happy for followers. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.